Been a while.
Hello.
It's been a while since we've done this. It's been a while since I've seen Tyler. So,
Hello.
it's one of those days. Anyway, this is Up the Boards. It's a podcast where two good friends talk about hockey, all the weird shit that happens in hockey, all the bad shit that happens in hockey.
Yep.
And that's how we deal with it. My name's Yusuf.
I'm Tyler.
And we're a month into the NHL season now. Just about a month?
Roughly, yeah, just
Roughly a month,
about
yeah. Yeah. I think we're gonna be passing the couple days.
15 to 10, 11 games. So somewhere
Yeah.
in there.
So, roughly around there. Um, how do we explain what's happened already this season?
Weird things,
Yeah,
bad things, strange
strange
things.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so, you know, Tyler obviously representing his New York Rangers, who are doing fine, I think, right?
Middle of the pack.
Okay, because the
Sli- not
Metro's part of that really weird.
not a good start. All the stats are really good. Like if you look at our in-game stats, like goals expected for, like we're actually really good. It's just we're not actually getting the puck in the net.
Right.
And then it's like we're up 3-1, and then like the third period happens, and it's like, okay, great. Third period, let's relax. And then we get beat like 4-3. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, this is happening a lot. We need to stop doing this.
Yeah.
For example, against the Red Wings and then against the Islanders, and it's just like, wow, this is gonna be great. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And speaking of the Red Wings, I of
Yeah,
course am
you're
not wearing a
second
jersey. Not
second in
wearing
the Atlantic Red Wings.
Yeah, not wearing the jersey today. My jerseys are in my closet, but I am repping my Wing Wheel podcast flannel, my favorite Detroit Red Wings podcast. Those guys are awesome. Go check them out. Um, yeah, somehow we're second in the Atlantic right now. And I genuinely say somehow, like, I didn't think this would happen this
It's
soon into
I
the
told
rebuild.
you it would.
I know. But
I
like
have faith.
at the same time, when you see, in fairness, when the Atlantic was going through their arms race of an off season, I genuinely did not know how this was going to turn out. Look, no one expected fucking what's that kid on Buffalo's name? The giant Tage Thompson.
Oh, dude, I love Tajer.
What
I
a
loved him last
fucking
year.
monster!
Dude,
Yeah,
when I went to the Buffalo game last year, which as you know was a life changing event for me. Um, dude, me and my buddy were watching. We're like, this kid's good. He's
yeah,
gonna be really good. It's
he's
like
really good. And so
him and Dylan Cousins. Him and Dylan Cousins are just
Cousins is
monsters.
going to be so good on that team.
They are.
So Buffalo's doing good. Ottawa's Ottawa. The Bruins are somehow first, and we'll get to them. We will get to them.
Philly is trying.
Billy Huso is.
No, Philadelphia.
Oh,
Like,
Philly is trying.
yeah,
Philly is
Carter
trying.
Hart
Yeah,
is shit.
they're doing stuff.
He's
I don't
good.
know. It's been a really weird season, and here's how today's going to go. We're going to talk about standings and the weird shit because it's a very weird start to the season, like abnormal for the first month. Because by now things start to already like take
Like
form as to
shit.
how the rest of the season's going to be, but not this year.
Yeah.
Not this year. And then after that, because I mentioned the Bruins, we're going to be discussing the stuff that happened,
Yes.
which I think everyone knows about already if you're a hockey fan. So if you know, you know. If you don't, well, we'll fill you in later. All right, Tyler, standings time. Let's talk about this. Where do you want to start?
The Pacific. We'll just go Pacific. Sea to shining sea.
Sure.
Pacific to
She does.
Atlantic.
Do you want to go bottom up or do you want to go top
Yeah, we'll
down?
go bottom up.
All right.
The Sharks are bad,
Yes, they are.
but Eric Carlson's good.
Eric Carlson's good. However, how many wins do the Sharks have right now?
A whopping three, and one of them was
Three.
against my New York Rangers.
Right. Do you know where the other one is from?
I'm gonna guess you all.
No, it is against our Toronto Maple Leafs.
Oh, that's even better.
Exactly.
Ah, good. The original six teams surely can get their shit together this year. It's good.
Yep. All right. So San Jose is looking, man,
Bad.
for a team that was like, yeah, we're gonna slowly rebuild. Yeah, I don't know if like slow is an
It's
understatement.
painful. I'm not gonna lie. When they signed David Quinn, I knew it was gonna be a long haul. So
Yeah, it's gonna be a
that
while.
was
But
yeah.
Eric Carlson looks great again.
Eric Carlson is great.
So that's good. That's good.
I missed Prime Eric. It's good to see him
I also
back to
miss
form.
Prime Eric. I really do. All right, who's seventh?
Uh, the Anaheim Ducks, also known
Oh,
as the Trevor Zegras
because it
experience,
was, yeah, at this point they really
because
are the Trevor
that
Seegers experience.
that's about it. All the other rookies just didn't show up, and all the veterans are terrible. So
Not to mention, I still don't understand why they didn't keep Sonny Milano.
yeah, I don't get that one.
I don't get it.
also as like John Gibson's biggest fan for like the past 5 to 8 years. I don't understand why he's not doing well. Like he
Yeah.
looks really good one game, and the next game is just disappointment. So poor Johnny. I want him to not be a Duck so I could see if he can find his form again.
I think one day he will,
I feel
hopefully.
like this is the
But I don't
deadline
know
where
if
it
it's
happens.
maybe. Maybe.
Yeah.
Who is sixth? Is it please don't tell me it's the third California team.
No, it's even better. It's Vancouver. Hey, third California team. We're going to talk about. We're going to actually take some time on that. But Vancouver is sixth, which I thought they were lower. So good for them.
Really, really rough start.
They were. Everyone talked about how good they were under Boudreaux, and then they were 500. When you really looked at the numbers from when he took over to the end, he was 500.
Wow,
And
500.
I'm not shocked at the moment.
Yeah, because they went what 8 games without a win in regulation.
Yep. So they're 4, 6, and 3 right now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Urgh.
And then in fifth place is the team that is hot one year and cold next, which is Calgary, as is tradition.
Yeah, which is crazy because they have such a good start to the season.
They like to do this. It really is
Yeah,
just
they
like
do.
1 year good, 1 year bad. Edmonton is in fourth because McDavid.
Connor McDavid and Leon
They
Draisaitl.
shouldn't be in fourth, but they are in fourth. They've been terrible.
Yeah.
But McDavid has been trying. So
McDavid and Draisaitl, I believe, now are combined for 55 points.
already, which is great.
We're like less than 15 games of the season.
Yeah, they're at 14.
They're at 14 games?
Yes.
Anyway.
Now, the third place team is the California team, which is the Los Angeles Kings, and my boy Jonathan Quick,
of course,
caused me pain.
Yes,
but I also love the guy. He got a shutout last night.
Oh, very good. We like to hear that. We like to hear that.
We like John.
We like John.
Johnny is the man.
Johnny is the man. It's good to see
the
Kings are doing.
We like goalies named John. That's what we like.
Yes, yes.
And he's been really good actually. I will actually give him credit. He's been playing very good. And as a whole, they actually look okay.
Okay.
The one that I was bold last year, but this year it's looking promising. Seattle's number 2.
That's really surprising, and I'm really happy to see that they're. So I don't know what the fuck happened, but
Shane Wright.
Okay, Wright. Yeah. So not Shane, but Matty Beniers, honestly.
Yeah.
Shane has been the topic of a lot of people because they don't know whether or not to send him back to Kingston to go play in the O.
I mean,
because he averages like 6 minutes a night. He only has 4 points. They've healthy scratched him 3 games in a row.
Well, I would send him down. I feel like he could benefit from it.
That's the thing. I think he would benefit from it because you can like. Okay, so I feel like I want to find out one day when like after these guys get drafted and they have their careers and everything, what goes on in their head after they get drafted? Because Shane Wright was projected first overall this year and ended up 4th. So something about that must have messed up his mental.
It's a very interesting conversation. Me and my buddy were talking about this with football. I actually do think these are like
okay.
I really do think it depends like where you get drafted and like what situation you walk into.
Right.
Like if you look at, let's go with like the Lamar Jackson, Baker Mayfield draft class. Like Baker walked into the Browns, who despite turning them into a playoff team, they got rid of him.
Yep.
For a guy who arguably should not be playing in the league at any point. And Lamar Jackson went last pick of the round to the Ravens, which is a solid organization who tailored the team to him. Like, very different situations. Josh Rosen didn't even last a year.
Yep.
Sam Darnold's an embarrassment.
Oh.
Yeah, I have a jersey.
I think it's I don't know. I think it's interesting with Seattle considering, at this point, I think Matty Beniers is the guy that they are going to work around for the future of Seattle as they become a better team. And with Shane, comparing the two, I don't want to, but I feel like this needs to be done just for sake of it. Matty Beniers coming out of Michigan was praised as the third best player out of the University of Michigan for his draft class behind Owen and Kent Johnson.
Yeah.
If anything, second, because he ended up going second overall. And Shane Wright, for the last 2 years before the draft this past summer, was Shane Wright's going first. Shane Wright's going first. Look at this kid playing in the with the Kingston Frontenacs. There's no way he's not being picked first overall. Had a 96-point season. Excuse me. After missing a year because of COVID, that shut down the O, and yet he got picked fourth.
I mean,
you know.
So I remember watching it live, and I knew the Yotes.
That was
actually
such a chaotic draft.
The first pick was weird, and I think that really screwed him. I think he was basically probably pretty set on Montreal. I think he assumed he was going there, and then it just didn't happen.
Speaking of which, you hear Uri got suspended?
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah.
Fucking. And on the flip side, the Yotes knew who they were drafting. The Yotes kind of knew who they were taking. They knew. And I think when Shane got to that point and they didn't take Shane and they took the guy, Will Cooley? So, no.
They took Logan Cooley, didn't they?
Yeah, Logan Cooley.
Yeah.
I like him. And I think they made a really good pick there. And it's interesting that they were in that position and didn't take Shane.
Yeah.
And the Devils passed on that. The Devils were more offensive. They had a lot of offensive pieces. They needed a solid defenseman.
Yeah, and Simon Nemec was the perfect pick for that.
Yeah, he is a Devil. He's a perfect Devil. And it pisses me off, but he's a good Devil. It's very interesting that the Arizona Coyotes literally looked at Logan and said, "Okay, we're going to take you." And part of that might have been they just didn't expect to get Shane, and they just scouted Logan and were more comfortable with that pick.
Right.
But it is very interesting that they were we're taking this kid. We have a higher upside in this kid than the guy there.
Yeah.
And it might have been an interview thing. Yeah.
Apparently, according to what I heard after the fact, that was the part of the reason why Shane Wright ended up going so, I don't want to say so low because he was still top 5, but he's not top 3.
Yeah.
And top 3 is a big deal in the NHL draft.
No, absolutely.
Right. Part of it is because his interviews, he just didn't impress as many teams. Great. He's great on the ice, but Shane Wright, the person, just didn't impress people as much as they thought.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's very odd. But they're second. And part of that, I think, is Martin Jones is also weirdly, despite not being great and having bad numbers, I think he's solid enough to help them in goal.
Yeah.
Because Grubauer is just not finding his game. So maybe as they solidify defensively, that will help out everybody.
I think so. I think they'll be okay in the next year or two if they start building up around defense. But okay, so Seattle's 2, and that means, of course,
Vegas is
they
1.
are back on their throne. The Vegas Golden Knights are first in the Pacific.
Yes.
Great. Logan Thompson is really good.
Logan Thompson is playing with a chip on his damn shoulder. And
yes, he is.
He's going to keep his job.
He's got the best contract going for him right now because he's on a 3-year league minimum.
Yep.
And if he's playing like this,
he's going to get
for
money.
The rest of the 3-year league minimum, he's going to be making money, and everyone else is going to be kicking themselves.
Yeah, he's pretty damn good.
Yeah, he's really showing up.
What he is. I mean, but he doesn't have to be good.
No, but
that's
he's
the thing. He's
choosing to be good. Yeah,
he is choosing to be good, but he doesn't have to be, which always helps.
Well, because again, the contract he's on, he knows that next season, Robin Leonard comes back. I think
Robin Leonard.
Hopefully, he's probably not. They're going to trade him.
They're going to do something with him, and
they're going to do something. But Logan knows that this is his job.
Yeah.
Now this is his thing.
Yeah.
Not to mention Vegas is just looking better. They don't look as much of a mess as they did last year, or the tail end of last year.
I also think, obviously he was hurt and they traded him, but getting rid of Pacioretty kind of sends the message, hey, you gotta play up to our standards.
Yeah, or you know.
And if something's not going right, we will make changes. When they got rid of Fleury, they're look, we didn't win.
Yeah.
Someone's got to go.
And that's the thing. If you notice one very important thing with both those trades, what did they get in return? They didn't fucking care. Nothing.
They didn't give a shit.
They got future considerations for both.
Which, here's the thing. In 5 years, is Vegas going to be good? Yeah. But that doesn't matter because they're good now. And if they come win a cup, it doesn't fucking matter at all.
Not to mention, I'm so happy he's finally found his groove with the team, because so many people were giving him shit when he got traded to Vegas that he was not just going to be good. That he was just a $10 million pretty boy. But I'm so happy Jack Eichel is proving that he is one of the best players in the league.
Yeah,
I'm really happy that Jack's finally found like his footing again.
Home. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And not Buffalo, but Buffalo's,
Yeah.
All right. Where are we? Central?
Central.
Yep.
In 8th place, the St. Louis Blues.
I don't want to go on talking about this, but I'm going to say one thing and one thing only. Jordan Binnington is a fraud.
I mean, I'm going to say one thing and one thing only. They're just
I want to keep it short, but like, yeah.
They're old. They're old.
Like,
they're not good. They wrote a Cinderella story into the sunset, and that was it.
Yep.
And that's hockey. Speaking of a team writing a Cinderella story into the Stanley Cup Finals, except this team lost, Nashville is 7.
Okay.
Which comes.
Any comments on that since you're a Nashville?
No one's surprised. Everyone wants the coach fired now, especially because Barry Trotz lives here. Everyone's just fire this guy and bring him home.
Yeah.
Because he started his career here. So logically, he wants the job. They'll give him a coach job, transition to a front office job. He already has a house here. Boom. It checks out. So I think everyone's secretly hoping for that to happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm hopeful. Which in 6th place, we have the Minnesota Kirill Kaprizovs.
That is
a man who has not shown up.
Yeah. Who I think is also potentially getting suspended.
Why now?
For something I read earlier. I can't remember what. Maybe. I can't remember. But yeah, Minnesota.
He was ejected for a high stick to an opponent's face.
I don't know if he's going to get a hearing for that, though.
He was fined $5,000.
No hearing?
Yusuf, you can't ask me these things.
You're the one looking it up.
It doesn't sound like there's a hearing.
Okay. So regardless, got fined. Yeah, Minnesota kind of just they looked fine last year. I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened.
Wallstat not playing. That's what they got to do.
That's true. Yeah, Wallstat's not playing. I think Marco Rossi's finally in the lineup, which if he is, that's really impressive that he's gotten through all his health issues and made it.
Absolutely.
But
this is where the standings get weird.
Okay.
So, we're up 6 in the Metro. We're up to 5 now, and we haven't named 2 teams that probably should have been in the bottom 3. So number 5 is Arizona because they're now trying.
Yeah.
And they're on a win streak of 2 games. And they've looked good, which I told you last year they had a little bit of fight in them last year.
You did. I think
talent. And I think
here's the thing. I think if there was any year that they probably shouldn't be showing that they have fight, it's this year because Connor Bedard is at the end of it.
I don't think they care. I think they'd rather.
I don't think they care. No.
And especially because I know it was a vote. I don't know what the end result of the voting was for the arena, but if they got approved for the arena, they got to start putting on a quality thing. So
I think it got approved. I think there was a thing about that it got approved.
So,
or they're waiting for one final vote.
If it gets approved, I mean, dude, you got to put it. This is the time to start acquiring great talent. So that when that stadium opens, it's going to be 4 years. You can put a fucking team together. Austin Matthews comes home.
I was literally.
It's just a home. It's gonna be beautiful. It's gonna be so beautiful.
It's gonna be great. Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
Okay. Yeah. Arizona,
good for them.
So they beat the Leafs about a month ago.
I know.
Everyone knows. They don't shut up about it for some reason.
I love the Oats. You don't have to sell me on the Oats.
I know, but I remember. So. A little story for you guys. Where Scotiabank Arena is, if you're from Toronto, but that's where the Union Station bus terminal and train terminal is, in that area. So I was taking the bus home that night, and you have to pass by one of the entrances to Scotiabank Arena on the way to the bus terminal. So I'm going up to the terminal, and I see everyone in their Leafs jerseys, whatever, walking around the concourse because you can see through the glass. And I hear booing of the arena, and I was like, oh my god, they're gonna lose this game. And I didn't know who they were playing, but I was like, they're gonna lose, I guess, whatever. So go home. I get back to my house, and I was like, I wonder what that Leafs game was over. Check my phone. They lose in regulation to the Arizona Coyotes, and I've never felt happier in my life.
So you're gonna love this. The stadium would go on the site of a landfill, which just is humorous to me.
Arizona just okay.
There's a special meeting by the Tempe City Council held on November 10th, which is tomorrow, as of this recording.
Yep.
And if it's approved by this council, it'll be on a special election in May 2023.
Okay.
So, and that's for the people of the state and area to decide, which makes sense.
Which checks out.
Their tax dollars, so understandable.
Yeah. So Arizona has some fight. Who is what are we at? 5th, 4th?
That's 5. So Arizona, go vote. 4 is Chicago, because we all saw that coming.
Yeah, everyone totally saw that coming. I don't know how, but how? What? Chicago?
Yep.
What the hell are they doing? They traded away like everything except Patrick Kane.
This is trying. They are applying themselves.
Clearly.
Which takes us to 3, which
3 would be.
I'm checking stats real quick, so pardon me.
Okay.
Exactly what I figured. So, Colorado's in 3rd.
Not a good look.
It's not a good look. I actually give credit. Georgiev's been very good this year.
Okay.
He's got a 925, so I can't really fault him on that.
Right.
Goes again, but the problem is he's very inconsistent, and that's the death of Georgiev.
There's a statement to be made in the fact that Colorado is sitting at 3rd, where normally a team wins the Stanley Cup, they either look reasonably good the next season or they might go on a little slump, right? Colorado should not be having that excuse, considering they only lost 4 games in the fucking playoffs last year with 2 sweeps.
So, I want to correct myself. Georgiev's actually been very good the past 5 games. He had one kind of mad game, but the other games had really good stats. I think that their problem has become you lose your middle 6.
Yeah, they lost a lot of the middle 6,
and that's okay. But I don't think they properly revamped that.
No, I think my bias, but I feel like people might agree with me, is I think losing Nazem Kadri was a lot worse for the Colorado Avalanche than people want to admit.
Yeah.
And look how he's doing great in Calgary. Yeah.
No, absolutely. Who did Colorado's kill in the Western Conference Finals?
That was Edmonton.
So, hear me. Edmonton's in 4. Colorado's 3rd. Yeah. Tampa's 5 were 5. Those are your top 4 teams in the playoffs last year.
Yep. Not even, Colorado's top 3, but yeah. Weird.
Long time play hockey, man. And because they're trying to get the schedules queued up and everything, and last year started a little late, people lost time.
Yeah. People lost time.
Yeah.
So anyway, Colorado's 3rd.
That puts the Dallas Jake Ottingers at 2.
What? Are they really?
Yeah, dude. Otter is great.
Okay. No, I know Jake Otter. I know Jake Ottinger's a great goalie, but
BU boy. I used to go watch him at BU all the time.
That's right. He did go to BU. Yeah.
Him and Dante. Hey, him and Dante
Fabro. Yep.
Yeah. I used to watch him every weekend. I loved Otter. So yeah, he's got them at 2nd. So, and I will say he has them at 2nd.
Right. Yeah, he's
pulling them
at 2nd.
At number 1, my boys had a career resurgence. I'm so happy. Your Winnipeg,
the Jets.
The Hellebucks. The Jets in football are doing well, and the Jets in hockey are doing well. All is good.
Oh my! I'm going to admit, I didn't think Winnipeg, with all the shit that happened to them over the offseason.
I weirdly like the hire. I know it. Everyone wanted.
I'm not saying I don't, but I know everyone did want Trotz. But
I felt like once they hired who they hired, I actually was like, that's a good fit for where they're at. and I feel like it was going to get things at a better place.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to take them to the promised land, but I think he has them playing better hockey, especially on the defensive side of the puck.
Yeah.
Which I think is Rick Bonus's big thing, which is what helped them, which helped them with fucking Dallas.
Yeah.
So I actually think that's good. And Connor Hellebuck is just, I love that man. So I'm okay with this. Yeah.
The Jets, I think it's about time they actually do well again, because we haven't seen the Jets do good since 2018.
The only thing they need to fix is they just need to bring back the Heritage sweaters full time. So, which
they do.
Told you,
I've
texted you that
probably I know.
Which, by the way, so once again, my boy's had a career resurgence. He's 7-2-0.
Okay.
1.98 goals against average. This is the fucking kicker. A 938 save percentage. Let's go, Connor. That was what he was when Winnipeg was dominant. Like when Vegas first came to the league, that's what he was at, and they were good. And that's a good Connor Hellebuck. He looks comfy.
We are in already one of the highest scoring eras of the league.
So a 938 is good.
And Connor Hellebuck's rocking a 938. It's nice. It's really nice.
And once they acquire Erik Karlsson at the deadline, they're gonna just be. I'm kidding. It's just weird that him and Connor Hellebuck are having like career revivals at the same time when they were both really good a couple of years. Could you imagine?
So the West. Could you imagine? The West isn't as weird in the standings.
What do you mean?
I mean, the Central makes absolutely no sense. And Seattle at second makes absolutely no sense.
The Metro none of it makes sense.
No. That's what I mean. The West is weird, but somehow the Eastern Conference just is the most baffling thing on earth. Should we start with the Metro or do we start with the Atlantic?
We'll start the Metro and then we'll go to the Atlantic and tie it into Boston.
Fair enough.
So Metro, the Columbus Johnny Hockey went there for less money. Blue Jackets are in last by a lot. Because why not sign with a contender? They don't have goaltending. Everyone's hurt.
They don't have enough firepower to supply Johnny Hockey.
And then meanwhile their goalie is getting threats made about his kid and everything. It's just not a good spot to be in. They got to figure out what's going on there.
Defense is kind of wobbly.
Their whole thing is wobbly. It's not good. 7 is the Pittsburgh Penguins which
is hilarious because they were leading the league not 2 weeks ago.
Yep. And then in 6th place, to no one's surprise, I mean, I've been preaching this for a long time coming. The Capitals have finally recognized that they're actually old and they are literally nobody but Ovechkin at this point. So they're in 6th.
That's the only thing people talk about. I mean, the dude literally just scored a goal to ensure that he was like number one. And what the fuck is the stat? Most goals with a single team? Yeah. Like he broke Gordy's record. So
their whole thing is just. My buddy's a diehard Caps fan. He was just he's like, look, no one gives a shit.
Yeah, I feel like all Caps fans right now care about is Ovechkin. Yeah,
like it's great.
Here's the thing: like OE is now at 797. Is that what the number is? Something like that, right? He has less than 100 goals to go.
Yeah, he's gonna get it.
He's gonna get it.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. Now that we're past the 100 mark, that's all Caps fans care about. Yeah,
exactly. They've given up. In 5th place, we have my sad face New York Rangers. It's early. We're not in 15 games in. We're fine. Which is honestly kind of been my mantra. Once we get to December, I'll care slightly more. And once we hit January, we better start picking up the damn pace. All-star breaks when shit starts to be like, okay, like we're on the clock. Yeah. So I would like us to find our grooves. We're making the right plays. It's just we got to fucking close out a game. We feel like the Ravens.
Yeah, this year. That's the one thing I noticed from the Red Wings game was again look great, look fine.
Yeah, first two periods, it's like shit. They're here to play. It's the third.
Yeah, it's the third period that you're like, what? Yeah,
call it a wrap. It's like, no, we got one more, guys. Come on, like,
yeah.
So
your New York Rangers at 5th, 4th.
The Philadelphia Carter Hearts.
Okay, not bad. Not bad.
You and I said it. They had pieces.
They have
it doesn't have
pieces.
an identity.
Tortorella's doing stuff. Yeah,
they have an identity.
Yep.
We kind of we expected this. Yeah, we expected.
We've expected this.
Third place is Carolina, who got shut out by some guy named Spencer Knight tonight. I don't even know he had a 40 save shutout. So
good job, Spencer.
Fuck yeah, Spence.
Good job, Spencer.
Carolina's in third.
Which I mean, that is
weird because like they're still good and they're third place, which kind of expect them to be second, third for somewhere in there. Like they're gonna be top four, they're gonna make the playoffs. The weird thing about them is I just feel like no one's talking about them this season. I've
noticed that they're
nothing.
very quiet,
which is sometimes a good thing, but it's also a little like I feel like they're just so head down focused right now. But like I also at the same time I feel like they're too quiet because I think they kind of thrive on that like bunch of jerks like thing.
Right. Yeah.
I think them being a little too quiet's a little worrying. But
a little concerning. But if that means they're going to be decimating the rest of the league,
now for reference, outside of Columbus, the Metro between Pittsburgh being in 7th with 12 points and Carolina, well, actually, we'll just give it to in the first place being at 20. All these teams are like 4 games apart. So that's the Metro in a nutshell. Yeah. Everyone's just right next to each other, all separated by a point. Rangers go in tomorrow and go up to 3rd place. Yep. Carolina could lose tomorrow and drop. So you gotta love the Metro, which brings us to number 2, which pains me to say, but my dad keeps gloating every fucking day and texting me about it. The New York Islanders are in 2nd,
which is insane. Considering last year.
Yeah, I mean it's
couldn't score, couldn't do shit.
It's a team that made absolutely no moves and have somehow found their game. So props to them. They lost a couple old vets, but I think that actually helps them get younger and bring up prospects. So I actually think that was a good move.
Yep.
Sorokin is not better than Shesterkin. I'm putting it up.
No, he's not.
But Semyon Varlamov has been playing solid. Both goalies have been playing solid. Like they are a good shutdown defensive team. That is what the Islanders are.
Yep.
They can score goals and then they will just shut you down. And that's the one thing they have is even if they give up 3 goals, they can play good enough defense to keep them in the game for the next 2 periods and fucking win a hockey game. And it sucks to do that. And they brought the Fishermen jerseys back.
I'm so happy they brought back the Fishermen. Thank God. I think what the Islanders actually doing well now is a testament to definitely the mess they had last season, having their first 15 games on the road because UBS Arena wasn't done on time.
Yep.
So they didn't have a home for literally 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And they just couldn't score, couldn't get shit done. And you could tell that was not the culture of the team. That was just the atmosphere at that point. They're like, we don't know what to do.
They were just old, man. Like,
they're just
some old players who were just weighing things down. And the thing is, like, the other 4 guys would be great, and then the one guy on the ice would be really slow and slowing down the game.
Yep.
Which brings us to number 1.
Before we get to number 1, because at this point, if you've been keeping track, you know who number 1 is. Well, if you're listening to this, Tyler, would you trust a team who picked a kid first overall and then picked his little brother 2 years later?
Depending on that team, yeah.
Would you trust a team that happens to be a very strange team when you look at them on paper? To be first in the Metro? It's a really weird looking team when you look at them on paper.
I know I'm going to sound very biased as I look down at my blue jersey. I don't think it's sustainable. I'm going to say that pretty boldly.
You've told me this already, yeah. So
I hope you agree.
If you're keeping track, the first place team, I'll get to that, is the new, I can't even say it with a straight face.
The New Jersey Devils? With someone not named Brodeur in that?
There's my question. Who is in net?
The Capitals got rid of a guy named Vitek Vanacek.
Oh.
Who was drafted alongside Ilya Samsonov.
Yes, he was.
Played Samsonov on the Capitals, and then the Devils got him. And he's been good.
Where's Mackenzie Blackwood?
He's actually hurt for 4 to 6 weeks. So I know a lot of Devil stuff because of my brother and my mom. So this is
right. Yeah. So I remember when when Jersey started doing all the weird shit, you were telling me I don't think it's sustainable. I've watched the team play. I have looked at their stats. Nothing about this squad makes any fucking sense.
That's why I'm saying it's
It is
bizarre.
so
I really
bizarre.
don't. I want them to be good. They're on a
Right.
7-game winning streak for reference right now.
How many wins do they have?
10.
Out of how many games?
13.
10 in regulation?
Yes. 9 in regulation. No. Yeah, 9 in regulation.
So still over 50%.
Yeah. So I don't, like I said, I don't know if it's sustainable. Like, I really don't, because the stats are weird. The numbers
That's the
are weird.
thing is, I don't know when they're going to hit their peak. Because like most teams, beginning of the season, they go up, 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 and then they plateau a little bit for like half a month or something for a few games, and then they start to slowly sink back down to where they would be projected from the beginning of the season. I have a really bad feeling that New Jersey is going up, 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 and instead of hitting that plateau, they're just gonna fucking sink.
Yeah, it's kind of what I'm thinking. I kind of feel like once come Christmas, I kind of have a feeling, or at least I'm hopeful, the Rangers will kind of pick it up. I feel like Pittsburgh will honestly have a fucking freak out moment and pick it up. I feel like Carolina will pick it up a little bit more.
Yep.
Like, I feel like there's a couple other teams in the division that will start fucking like, hey, we need to make the fucking playoffs because like we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Why is New Jersey here? And I kind of have a feeling that that's going to be the downfall of New Jersey. And then you're going to have teams in the Atlantic being like, hey, we need spots for the playoffs and those wild card spots. And I kind of have a feeling New Jersey's going to.
Yeah.
They might get a wild card. I will actually give them credit.
They could. If they do, credit to where credit's due. But like at the same time,
it's a weird.
The Metro is notoriously known for being the tightest division.
Like I said, 4 games separates 7th from 1st. Granted, we're not even 20 games into the season, but it really is 4 games. And like I said, if you're Philadelphia's 2 games out of top, and they're also 2 games out of 7th.
Yeah,
it's same with the Rangers. It's that tight. Like,
it's weird.
It's weird.
It's really, really weird.
Which takes us to the Atlantic.
Which, okay, as the podcast's noted representative of the Atlantic Division, I will say this, and I mentioned this earlier in the show. There was a legitimate arms race going on in the Atlantic where teams were just picking up where the fuck they wanted and getting whatever the hell they wanted. Ottawa, famously, of course, getting Alexander DeBrincat, Claude Giroux, Cam Talbot.
They're so bad.
Buffalo arming themselves with all their kids that some of them they didn't even draft. They just got as fucking trades from other teams because other teams were like, we want this guy, and Buffalo was smart. They were like, cool, give us the kid that was picked top 10 in his draft year.
I love Buffalo. I fucking love Buffalo. That's a life-changing experience, that trip, man.
Montreal doesn't count.
Wait,
I have not yet. I've not been to Quebec yet.
It's so terrible. It's great.
I've heard.
It's so
bad. Montreal, despite being shit last year, picked up. Have you heard about this kid? His name's Arbor Jackai. He's this Albanian player. Yeah. He's got like the craziest story ever. But like the kid's like an offensive threat, both on the puck and with his fists. And I'm like, where did you find him?
And as this child? As our official goaltending guru. We talk about Jake Allen.
Like, what's happening? Anyway, so the Atlantic Division has been just a race of which general manager can say, hold my beer faster.
Yeah.
And it has caused absolute fucking chaos in the Atlantic Division.
Yeah.
Let's go through standings.
Yeah, for probably the second tightest division, or arguably it might be us.
It might end up being the tightest because none of this shit makes sense.
So in last place, the people who probably went out the most aggressively, and it didn't seem to work, was Ottawa at 8. They are not good.
Arguably, they were the most aggressive this offseason.
Yeah, it doesn't show, but they tried.
Yeah, but they tried. It's okay. Soon to be owned by Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, soon to be Ryan Reynolds. Once Deadpool takes over, you're going to get a lot more aggressive. But in 7th place, we have yours, mine, our hearts and love, the Buffalo Sabres. They'll get there. I promise.
They'll get there.
Tage will be there. Dude, Craig Anderson's balling the fuck out.
Craig Anderson's balling the fuck out.
Talk about former Ottawa Senators players. Yeah. Eric Carlson, Craig Anderson. Holy shit. Love this. In sixth, we have the Montreal, hopefully Carey Price returns soon, Canadians.
I think that's fine for where they are.
Yeah,
I think sixth is
it's a
reasonable.
good spot. I mean, Carey chooses. Marty's actually got them playing really well. Marty St. Louis doing.
Cole is starting to look like Cole Caulfield.
Yeah, and technically they're tied for fifth, really, with Tampa. So, man,
and that is where things get fucking hilarious. Is the 3-time Stanley Cup final appearances in a row.
It hurts, man. It weighs you down.
It really does. You go back to back and lose the third. That stings.
I'm gonna say is the reverse retro with Vasilevsky's pads though, where it's just
I fucking love that. That is the hottest thing I've ever seen.
I want a jersey. I want a jersey like tomorrow.
Tampa. So we kind of skimmed over Montreal, but Montreal, for where they're at, they're kind of where they are, but it's fine. Tampa. Wow.
I kind of think they're in the same boat as the Rangers. I think the short off season really is hurting Colorado, Tampa, New York, and Edmonton. I think Edmonton not so much. I feel like they actually just have some issues, but I feel
Evander Kane announced he's out for a few months. That's gonna sting for them. Yeah.
But also I have a thing to send you on that. There's this really good there's a really good doctor on YouTube. I've become obsessed with his sports injury videos.
Oh, okay. Tampa being fifth is not obviously where Tampa wants to be. And if you've heard or watched interviews about John Cooper, you know that as chill as he looks on the ice, he is either fuming on the inside or trying to figure out what to do. Because, here's the thing. I know, most times when a team like that does bad, people will start saying, oh, well, fire the coach. That's the first thing you would do, right? John Cooper's not losing his job. Everyone knows that. He's not fucking losing his job anytime soon. But John Cooper's got to start looking at this team, which lost a few pieces.
Dude,
and start thinking.
I genuinely think, though, it's nothing more than
I think it's just a slump. I think you're just tired.
I honestly think, like I said, I think they're in the same boat as the Rangers. Short off season. I think Colorado's in the same spot. It's just a short off season. A lot of hockey.
Yeah.
A lot of pieces moved.
When you play 12 consecutive playoff series in 3 years, that will tire you out.
Well, so grand scheme of things,
right?
Tampa lost middle six pieces. Bottom six, middle six pieces over the past 2-3 years. Colorado lost middle six pieces. New York lost middle six pieces. I think they're all in that weird spot where they're playing good enough to win games and they're above 500. But I don't think they have the chemistry. I think they're all tired. I think they're trying to figure out what to do with the short off season. I think they're trying to figure out all these things where it's I feel like they're all kind of in that 3 to 5 spot. You have Edmonton included. They lost a lot of pieces. Kane getting hurt. I mean, that's a whole other thing. Worms. But they went through it. They cleared out their goalie room, which is huge. Colorado has a new goalie. Tampa and us, like I said, middle six pieces. I think it's those 4 teams are going through a weird, they got to find their groove period. So I think that's kind of where Tampa is falling. I really think that's kind of where they're at. Which brings us to number 4.
Which I would assume is the Florida Panthers.
Wrong.
What?
Toronto.
Of course.
You hate them. I hate them. We hate them. Everyone hates them except for Steve.
Poor Steve. Steve, buddy, I don't know if you're ever gonna find this, but we might just DM you one day and be like, you want to just chat? You want to just come hang out on the podcast and chill, Steve?
No, honestly, I'll fly to Toronto. We'll have a beer.
Legit, Steve.
Up there.
It's not we don't hate you, man. We love you. We love everything you
honestly,
do. You are our hero, man.
Pain. Trust me, I feel
we just wanna hang out.
I like the Jets in football. Trust me, I know what you go through on a year-to-year basis. We can have a moment.
Okay, so the Leafs are 4th.
The Leafs are 4th, and are we shocked?
No.
7-4.
I'll tell you why.
3.
So I think just because of how the last month or two has gone for my own personal sake, just being busy, I haven't been able to catch up with the Red Wings games as much, which I'm starting to do now, starting to get things in the groove of things. But because I not unfortunately, I love being here, but I work in downtown Toronto. I'm always hearing about the Leafs news. I live right outside of the city, so I'm always hearing about Leafs news. And of course, thanks to Steve, everybody hears about what happens to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
It's
Um,
fantastic.
oh, Steve, Toronto has had a very up and down beginning to this season because they lost a season opener, won the home opener.
Yep.
They lost to San Jose.
Yep.
They lost to Anaheim. They lost to Arizona.
Oh, the Anaheim one was just brutal.
The Anaheim one was rough.
I watched that live. I was like,
that was rough.
Yep.
They've had games now this season where they probably should have won, and they didn't because they couldn't find a way to close it out. I think it was like the first 8 games of the season for them. They didn't have a lead going to the third period and came back.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me before I get to that point.
On the old soapbox here.
Here we go. No, I don't have any fucking sympathy for them anymore. God damn it. For a team where our good friend and borderline mortal nemesis Kyle Dubas tried putting together whatever weird pieces he could put together for this offseason for this year, some of it worked, some of it didn't. Case in point. Nicholas Aube-Kubel is no longer a Toronto Maple Leaf.
Yeah, it's so
Matt Murray is dead at this point.
Wow, it's almost like we said, you signed the most injury-prone girl.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Matt Murray, you look at him on breaks.
Iliam Samsonov has been doing fine, but when he's not hurt.
Correct. Which
Eric
is
Sheldon,
also the guy who flipped an ATV on himself. So, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
You have, I remember when preseason was going on, they were going through lines and shit. And I'm fairly certain I texted you this because this shit made me laugh. Sheldon Keefe famously saying, "Yeah, we're going to see how the team fits if we put Mitch Marner on the first pair of defense."
Yeah, so
I'm sorry.
My favorite thing, and this is how I know they're not winning the cup this year, which makes our they already passed us in the longest cup drought. It's thank you guys.
They've been longest cup drought for a while. Yeah.
No, last year they finally passed it. His 54-year record they broke.
54, really? Oh, that's right. Yeah.
They broke it. So I'm here for it. But they're not winning the cup this year, and I can tell you why. When I read the interview this last season where they're like, well, they might test the situational 3 defensemen 2 forward on the ice situations with their abysmal decor. I was like, yeah, they're not winning the cup. That's already just long gone.
What 3 defensemen are you running on a 3-2?
They talked about.
What are you running? Mitch Austin, and then what? Morgan Giordano and TJ Brody? That's kind of your only option.
It's weird.
Justin Hall doesn't know how to play defense.
And what situation are you going to be doing that where you need 3 defensemen and 2 forwards? If you got such a lead and you have 0 faith.
Not to mention, their 3 best defensemen that I just named: TJ Brody, Morgan Riley, and Mark Giordano. Yes, 40-something-year-old Mark Giordano.
Yeah, they're all over 30. A.
They're all over 30. A. B. They're all offensive defensemen.
Yeah, so
they don't know what they didn't back check.
So that. I don't know. When I heard that, I was like, yeah, the Leafs just don't care anymore.
Did you hear about this is something that baffled me, but I think it was after the Anaheim loss, because that's when they started to pick up and win a couple games. They won 3 in a row, which is, cool. But I think it was after the Anaheim loss where they were talking about they just weren't feeling it or some shit, and the fact that they looked so great in the first period. Or no, not the first period, the first shift. They looked amazing. That's your problem? They looked amazing on their first shift?
I mean...
So what bothered me too is after the fact, so the game ends, and now everyone's talking about, is Sheldon going to get fired? Because Sheldon chewed out his players and said they're elite players being played like elite players. They need to be playing like elite players. And I'm paraphrasing here, but basically calling out.
I've been watching all of it. Trust me. I've been
calling out the big 4 and being like, "Hey, dumbasses, do you want to please play like you're being paid to and you're being garnered as these big boys?" And then 3 days later, he rescinded his statement. He's like, "Oh, that's not what I meant." Yeah, it's no, Sheldon. It is what you meant. Be honest. The fact that you got your fucking hair
my big
pulled by
thing.
the
Yeah,
players
absolutely.
being
Be
like,
aggressive.
"Hey, Sheldon, that wasn't nice to us. Why did you do that? You know what happened to the last coach that wasn't nice to us? We got him fired."
Yeah, well, I mean, dude, that's like, I don't know. They got to figure out the
Yeah,
balance here. Like,
yeah,
it's great that you have a lot of superstars, but like, obviously, Austin, like, we joke about it, but like, he could be like, once this contract's up,
yeah.
I'm heading
And here's
home.
the thing.
Like,
Here's the thing. There's two very big things to talk about with the Leafs right now. Is number one, Austin is now he's starting to pick up, but the first chunk of the first few games of the season, he wasn't looking like Austin Matthews. He wasn't looking like the 60 goal scorer last year. And he's on a contract year. Well, actually, no, I think next year's his contract year, but this is the year that after it's up, he can sign his extension. I think that's how it works. I think next year's is technically his contract year.
let me make sure.
Double check. I'm pretty sure that's how it is because I know some people were saying the end of 23 was when his contract's up, but I believe it's the end of 24.
24. So yeah, this is.
But the end of 23 is when he can sign his extension. That's when he can do it. If he does it.
2024 is gonna be fucking amazing. We're gonna have Austin
and
Matthews.
Also, Kyle Dubas is on a contract. Well, I can't say Kyle.
Oh my god,
contract here, but
jersey.
Oh, that'd be nice actually. Kyle Dubas is on a. I'm not going to call it a contract here. I'm going to call it a. Kyle, we're giving you one more chance, and we're not re-signing you.
Hold up. I mean, like, let's call it as it is. You and I just said they've looked kind of abysmal this year.
Yeah.
And let's really talk about this for a hot second. Okay, I'm going to name the following players.
Okay.
Are no longer Leafs after this year.
Yes.
Kerfoot, Engvall, David Camp, Michael Bunting, Wayne Simmons, Zach Aston-Reese, Nicholas Robinson, Justin Hall, Jordy Ben, and Eric Kallgren. And Samsonov, technically, is in RFA.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I forgot Jordy Ben was a Leaf.
But then after next year, they lose basically everyone but Tavares and Marner.
Yeah.
And Yarn, Croc, and Riley. That's the only three. Like, so this is it. This is pretty much it. You make out 1 year to retool in 2023 to 24, and then you lose a lot of people.
Yep.
Which, like, I don't think Willie's coming back. I honestly think, like, if they're kind of in a spot
Willie deserves to be somewhere
else
where he's actually appreciated on a regular basis.
I feel like he's the scapegoat a lot.
He is very much the scapegoat. Yeah, because he doesn't make 10 million plus a year.
Yeah.
That's why he's the scapegoat.
And on top of that, rookie of the year voting guy, Michael Bunting at age 27.
100-year-old Michael Bunting, yes.
Yeah, he's a free agent next year. So like they got some shit to figure out.
Yeah, and with the season he had last year and how he's been looking now, like, so far this season, a lot of teams would like a Michael Bunting. I don't know if they want him at 4,000 years old, but like,
I mean, you're gonna get the Walker off the ice, but yeah, then
exactly. I don't know. The Leafs are a whole thing. We can get into this later. Who's starting? The state of Florida?
Spencer Knight, yeah.
Of course. Okay.
Which
Florida
makes
I mean, Florida seems like they're
good. I think that's kind of where they are. They're just good.
Yeah, they're not incredible. Great. They're not amazing, but they're good.
They will make the playoffs. Yeah,
probably. Spencer is looking good.
Yep.
Right. Bobrovsky still has that massive contract, which I don't know what they're.
That's killing them. That honestly is gonna. That's probably the reason they're not going to win a cup.
Matthew Tkachuk is a bitch.
Nothing new.
Nothing new.
Bastard.
Fine. Yeah, like I don't know. Florida looks fine. I'm not too worried about them. Other than I think people are already too fast to call them frauds, considering they won the President's Trophy last year.
I don't understand this fraud bust. This team's trash. We're not even 15 games in. Calm down, everybody.
Exactly. Like just chill out.
Once we get the 40-game mark, you could tell me everything I was wrong and the world is on fire. But until the 40-game mark,
when the All-Star break goes down, sure.
Yep.
Sure. But until then, no. We got another 2 months.
Yep.
And it's actually 3, technically.
Honestly, give me the trade deadline. I don't even care. Give me the deadline.
Give it to the trade deadline. It's fine. Because until the tough gets going, teams can do whatever the hell they want for a while.
Exactly. And once
Until
we
they
get
need
Patty
to freak.
Kane, the world will be ours.
I don't
But
know about
anyway.
that, but sure. Anyway,
That makes us to 2.
That makes us 2. I wonder who the second place team is in the
Oh,
Atlantic
wow,
Division.
you're so modest, Yusuf.
You're
Jesus.
fucking right, I am. I wonder what team based in the Midwestern United States could be second in the Atlantic Division. I wonder what team that is
Kansas City
captained.
Scouts. Not kidding.
That is
The
captained
Detroit
by
Red Wings.
a resident of the state, Dylan Larkin, who is a very good man.
You might be worse than I am.
Oh, I'm 100% worse than you are. Or I wonder what team managed by the greatest human being on earth, Steve Yzerman.
What do you mean? Chris Drury is a Ranger.
How dare you talk about Steve that way? I will not accept any Steve Yzerman slander here. Do you fucking understand me, Tyler? Anyway, yeah, the Red Wings are second. I can't believe I say that, I guess.
They're in second. It's so beautiful.
They're second.
They're second.
You know what the impressive thing is? I will admit this. We've had
some. You want to run it for you? They're 8th in the league.
I don't care. Here's why. We are 14 games in. What are we at now? I've lost track.
You're 13.
13 games. Okay, 13 games in. Ville Husso has looked great. He looks amazing. Not, elite, but he looks good for what we need. Ned has his days, obviously. He looked great a couple nights ago against the Rangers.
Yeah, he did.
Pretty good against the Rangers.
He was fucking carrying on Jimmy Howard's legacy of fucking kicking our ass. That's great.
Lucas Raymond is starting to be Lucas Raymond again, which is good. Yeah. Moritz is still picking up assists, but he hasn't gotten that goal yet, so we're waiting,
Dylan Moritz is a beast. I fucking love Moritz. Yeah.
Dylan Larkin is proving time and time again why he is the Red Wing on the team, which we've talked about this a bunch.
I hate the slander. It really pisses me off.
And it started again a couple days ago where we were like, we lost. I can't remember who, but they were like, "Oh, Dylan Larkin shouldn't be a Red Wing. He shouldn't even be captain." Where did you get that from? Shut up.
Oh, shit, we play you all tomorrow.
Dude. Yeah. So Dylan's been looking great. The injuries kind of plagued us early again, which happens traditionally.
Yusuf, you're really overselling the Husso's a 941. Now, this is where you're overselling that a little bit. He's doing what he needs to do. He's an 880.
That's fine.
Yeah. I feel like
Ned. I mean, Ned is Ned.
Ned,
at this point, I think Ned
team around him.
He really does.
He was great for Carolina because of how they played hockey, and it's not even like they had a good defense. He really was a good puck handling defenseman.
Yeah,
he needs a very
overall defensive squad, and Carolina was perfect for him. Yeah,
they need a really good two-way squad. That's how, because he needs guys who are quick up ice that he can shoot the puck up to. But anyway,
and Carolina was fast. But so, Goldman's fine. Moritz is fine. Dylan's great. Injuries have plagued us. It's what it is. Zadina's out for like 8 weeks, which sucks, but he still hasn't been great. Which Bert's out for a little bit.
I miss Andrew Kopp. How's he doing?
Andrew Kopp is healing. He's doing fine.
I miss him.
Who else is out right now? Robbie Fabry is currently going through some stuff. So is Jacob Vrana. Jacob Vrana's going through some stuff.
That was
I love him, but
good lord.
Oh, right. Like, am I sad we don't have Anthony Mantha anymore? Not anymore. I'm not as sad.
Mantha was not good. I hate to be the one to burst your bubble. I didn't like him as a Red Wing.
He was kind of overrated.
He was kind of an asshole. He constantly bitched and moaned. Like, I don't know.
Elmer Soderblom, looked really good to start the season. He obviously regressed, but it's just because he's not used to playing this often on professional like NHL ice. So he has his time to learn, which is good, but it's fine. Ben Sherratt is just murdering people, which is exactly what we got Ben Sherratt to do and why we're paying him. So I'll take that as a win. And Derek Lalonde I don't know what it is.
You're so happy. It's so
genuine. But this is a very different team. Yeah.
It's so nice. You're so happy. It's
I'm not
genuine too.
miserable finally. It's been like 4 years.
Now, how about them Lions, Yusuf? How about them
Okay,
Lions?
look, we won against Green Bay,
So do
and
we.
I know, I know.
Everyone's beating Green Bay.
And Dan, look, I would
I
still
love
run
Dan.
through
I
a wall
love Dan
like
Campbell.
MCDC, man.
I need Dan Campbell every morning to give me a pep talk.
I
Dude,
do
I would
not.
punch
I
the
know
wall.
people are like, "Oh my god, Dan Campbell, what are you doing? Why would you make that play?" Look, dude, shut the fuck up for like 5 minutes. Let him talk, okay? If I could just live my life on the words of Dan Campbell, I
Oh,
think I would be way
absolutely.
happier in life. But no, like Derek Lalone now as head coach, things are different. Some things are the same, but things are definitely different in Detroit. The one thing I will admit, and I noticed this, we haven't had a game yet where we've been blown out,
That's
which I'm really
good.
impressed by.
So that's a good thing. Obviously.
Yeah.
Um, that was kind of for us the turning point, and now obviously it's under David Quinn, who's a joke. But there was a game. There's like one season. I think it's his last season, or the season before that. We didn't get shut out, which is like a good thing. And keeping games close, especially if you're like kind of where you guys are at, we're like, I don't know if this is you're probably not a cup year. Like, I'm not trying to burst your bubble. I feel like this is still a playoff experience year, but I feel like this is kind of a good spot to be in if you're keeping a competitive game in and game out, and you can take this year, get some experience in the playoffs, and then you go out this year and make a really nice signing. You go get Patty Kane or someone, like, I'm joking, only halfly, but like, get the guy to be the final.
I
I'm not
mean,
gonna say that.
to be fair, Steve Eiserman could find a way to get Patty Kane for like a bag of jelly beans. So
Probably, yeah. He'll get. You guys will give up future considerations for Patty Kane. That's how
yeah,
that's going to
he'll
go down.
find some fucking ridiculous way.
Yeah,
Yeah, but no, you know what? I know we're not in a cup year. Obviously, there's no way we are, but the idea of stealing a wild card spot isn't out of the picture yet.
that's my thing. I think you guys will probably make wild card.
Yeah,
Probably first round battle might be kind of ugly, but I feel
it
like
depends on who we have.
it doesn't matter because it's experience. That's
Exactly.
all
Yeah,
you need for
give the
them.
boys experience.
Exactly.
And while the other young kids are getting ready, because we have Jonathan Berggren, Albert Johansson, and Simon Edvinson down in Grand Rapids, and Sebastian Cosa. Actually, Sebastian Cosa is splitting time between Toledo and Grand Rapids, so there's that, and that's good. Um, hell, yeah, so far so good with Detroit.
It's no
I'm
Jesper
really happy.
Wellstep, but
Yeah,
hey, got a question for you
all right, what's the question?
before we get to number one.
Sure.
Sebastian Cosa got benched in the World Juniors.
Yes, he did.
For who's the guy?
Who he got benched for?
Yeah, he got
on
benched
Team
for,
Canada.
Yeah.
That was last year's World Juniors, right? So that would have been
Dylan Garand, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, who's he play for? Who's he drafted by?
Please don't tell me he's a Ranger.
He is a Ranger.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah, that's just me bursting your bubble.
okay.
All right, so let's get to number one of the Atlantic. Then we'll get to the heavy topic. And
I don't want. I want to make this quick because we've already been doing this an hour, and
yeah,
this
I
is going to
agree.
take a
So
while.
Boston's number one.
Yeah. Boston's number one. Anyway, now for the elephant in the room.
Yeah, now for Boston being pieces of shit.
Yeah. This has actually like pissed me off so much. I thought it wouldn't, and it's just pissed me off so much. Bad.
Yeah.
Because like as more stuff is coming out, it's just like, what the fuck were you thinking?
Oh, yeah,
so, hey Tyler, do you remember the 2020 draft?
Yeah.
Of course you do. Who was the first overall pick in that draft?
Alexei Lafreniere. Yeah.
Yes, he was drafted by
the New York Rangers.
That's exactly why Tyler remembers. That's the only reason he remembers, kids.
Yeah, we had a first round draft pick for the first time in forever. So, and it was the first time we had a first overall pick. So, of course, I remember.
Yeah. Also, noted first round draft pick in that year, Lucas Raymond. So the 2020 draft was a fun draft because it was the first COVID draft, right? And scouts didn't get a lot of time to really look at players and do their projections and shit like that, and yada yada yada, what have you. But like the first round gets done. Oh, blah. Fourth round comes along, and this is the year famously that Arizona didn't have a pick until the fourth round because they had to forfeit picks due to the fact that they like cheated at the scouting combines, or no, where they had prospects coming in illegally, essentially, to like work out with them and train with them to do their own like private combines. Shady shit. So Arizona only gets they only had picks on I think the fourth, fifth, and seventh round. I think it was. I can't remember exactly, but the fourth, fifth, the fourth is what's important. So their first pick in the NHL draft that year, their first pick, right, in the fourth round of the entire fucking thing, was a kid named Mitchell Miller. And Mitchell Miller plays defense. And Arizona picked him. Not 24 hours later does news come out about Mitchell Miller in regards to his juvenile crime history. We don't like hearing that, do we? Especially for an 18, 19-year-old? No, we don't. Miller did some horrible, heinous shit when he was in the 8th grade at the age of 14 to someone. And never apologized to his victim, never made amends, but did horrible.
He claimed he apologized. He never did.
We'll get to that. I know. We'll get to it. He did some very horrible shit that no human would ever do. Right? And he was still picked in the draft. And Arizona rescinded their pick. So they cut him from the draft. And so the kid just disappears into the ether. They make it clear that he's not going to be eligible to play in the NHL until certain things are done. Make things right for the crimes he has committed. Especially because he was a child when he did them. Like, how fucking horrible are you?
Terrible, especially reading the statement today. My mom read it. She was fucking pissed.
So, fast forward. It is when did they sign him? Friday?
I don't remember the timeline, to be honest with you, because I saw it and I just kind of like threw my phone in like pure anger.
So here's the funny thing.
I think it was Friday. It's all happened over the Thursday or Friday. Week.
It's only been like a few days, yeah. So I was out running errands and I was taking a walk, and I opened Twitter, and I just see news: Mitchell Miller signed to an ELC by the Bruins, and I go, "Oh, okay." I don't know who the fuck that kid is, but okay, right? They put my phone down, just go on my walk, and I get back to my place to work, and I open up Twitter. And I see Twitter has like the Bruins are trending and there's a storm brewing, right? And I go, did Brad Marchand date somebody again? What happened? I don't know. I click, see what's up. And that's when it hits me. Oh, that's the kid from 2 years ago. I completely forgot he existed. But that was the kid from 2 years ago. And the Bruins just signed him to a 3-year ELC. But for the A, he wasn't signed to an NHL contract.
Yeah, because he couldn't be.
Because he couldn't, right. So now everyone's going after Don Sweeney about it. And Don Sweeney's trying to make it clear that, they're going to fix the kid or whatever. They're aware of everything that happened.
But the Bruins were 10-1 at this point.
Yeah.
And the Bruins are an older group and a lot of them have kids and stuff. Could you imagine being Patrice Bergeron? You decide to stay the next year. You wake up and you get a text. Oh, yeah, we signed this fucker.
Yeah. On top of, the Dangle podcast mentioned it a lot on their most recent episode, where they decided, I think it was Friday, because they decided to sign the kid right before the Bruins were to go to Toronto to play the Leafs on Hockey Night in Canada, where it's national media coverage. You don't think they're not going to talk about that?
I mean, it's between that, they're an Original Six franchise. You're a Boston sports franchise, which in America is pretty damn big fucking thing.
Yeah.
And on top of that, this kid's a piece of shit.
So Boston signs him.
Of course, it's stupid. Like Jesus.
Don Sweeney's getting the fucking axe thrown at him basically because of this, and
Honestly,
rightfully
the
so.
fact he's not fired yet pisses me off.
I know, yeah. Oh, Cam Neely too. Cam Neely should fucking go. So Sweeney has a press conference talking about it, and he's like, "Well, you know, he's done horrible things, but he can change, and we can help him change." And then he follows it up with, if that happened to my kid, I wouldn't sign him. Yeah, but Don, it happened to someone's kid. Be a human first. Like,
no, of course, and he's
don't
not
be selfish. Yeah. And then of course Gary Bettman not finding out about the news until later because he was out in Finland, and because he was on a podium already taking questions, someone asked him, "How do you feel about what are your thoughts in regards to the Mitchell Miller signing?" And Bettman just looked at them and was like, "Huh? He's not eligible to play in the NHL."
Yeah, I
he
think that was
won't be.
literally his quote. He was pretty like caught off guard and like, what?
Bettman was incredibly you made a signing that caught the fucking commissioner off guard. The commissioner of the league.
Like, obviously, like that left a sore spot with Gary because he remembered the name. Like,
yeah. And so he made it clear he's not eligible to play in the NHL, and he made it clear he may not be eligible to play in the A.
Yeah.
So now, shit's happening, blah, 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 blah. There was a statement made that they would only... So apparently the Bruins had been talking to him for about a week prior to them signing him. I don't know if you've read up on that.
I did read that part.
Okay. And apparently...
Which made me even more angry.
Yeah. The whole deal was they needed the kid... I'm not going to call him a kid. The dude to...
Piece of shit.
It's just shit. Yeah. To make amends with his victim and his family, and then they can sign him. He did.
Well, he also had to do like community service.
Yeah, community service and whatnot. So we'll do this in order. So the apology was a Instagram DM to his victim saying, "Hey, this has nothing to do with hockey, and I'm sorry." That's
conveniently has nothing to do with hockey.
Yeah, coincidentally, he knows he's about to sign an NHL contract. You had to mention that part. Okay, good. Sure. Does that. The community service stuff he did, from what I saw.
I read most of the group said he never showed up.
So that was for Carnegie Institute.
Which I knew was one of the big ones that he was supposed to.
So, that happened. The guy's mother made a statement about it.
Yeah.
Where she was like, "Oh, boys will be boys." What the fuck is wrong with you, woman? Up. That's fucked. Jesus Christ. Anyway, and now, fast forward, the Bruins are taking more heat. They're doing interviews with Bruins players asking how they're feeling about this, and everyone is saying the same thing.
Pissed.
Patrice Bergeron is the greatest. When he retires, rename the Selke to the Bergeron.
Absolutely.
That man is a gentleman in the way he handled that interview.
I love Bergeron.
Because on Hockey Night in Canada, he was getting asked about this, and he can only answer the way Patrice Bergeron could answer it. As a gentleman. He's not sugarcoating anything because he shouldn't.
Yeah.
But he's being as honest as he can without being rough.
Absolutely.
Nick Foligno.
Oh, Nick Foligno was also very pissed.
Nick Foligno admitted, "We're all angry about this, and you can tell it's starting to shake up the locker room a little bit." You can tell by the way the Bruins played.
At the time of the signing, they were 10-1.
They were 10-1, and then what happens the next night? They lose to the Maple Leafs.
Yep.
Right. So now fast forward, Don Sweeney and Cam Neely both are like, "Well, when we were talking to the kid and he said he was going to do all this, so we said, okay, then we're going to sign you." Then they finally release him. Not a day ago, 2 days ago at this point. And the guy's agent, who represents, who works for O2K, I think those what the OTK or O2K, something like that is what the management company's called, made a statement being like, "I am he is an African American individual who represents Mitchell Miller, and he felt that was needed to help Mitchell learn from his mistakes. He wanted to help Mitchell grow from the boy he once was," right? and started mentioning this is what he's done, blah, 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 blah. Then you start finding out, did he do his community service? Yeah, he did. There's proof of that, Did
Some.
he properly? Did he properly apologize? No. Did he make amends with his victim's family? No.
No.
And then there's the whole Carnegie Institute thing where he was apparently, I believe he was supposed to report to the Carnegie Institute to get like disciplinary help.
Yeah.
And he claimed his agent, I think this is how it went. His agent lied to Bruins management saying he did.
See, I didn't read that part. I just knew he didn't show up.
So that's the thing. Bruins management was told he did all his shit for Carnegie. And he never did. So the Bruins were lied to in regards to that. Which, never mind Mitchell Miller, as a fucking agent, that's scummy as shit.
It's dumb.
Why
if you're also, I pulled up an article from the Boston Globe, but basically, Bergeron basically said 2 days ago, "I'm glad we were heard in regard to the entire team."
Yep.
On this issue.
Yep. Normally, a signing doesn't shake up a team. A signing will get the team going. Oh, cool. Yeah, we got this guy. Awesome. Yeah, cool. Welcome to the club. A signing like this shook up an entire league.
Yeah, the players had a conversation with Cam Neely and Don Sweeney, and they're just glad they were heard.
Yeah. There's a problem in hockey. We all know that. Tyler knows that. I know that. Trust me, we all know. But this is one of those cases now where
it takes a step backwards.
Yeah.
As a sport.
A big step backwards, because the rest of the league might be on the same page, but there's always going to be those few teams that aren't. Yeah. And the Bruins proved that, and also proved that they are still same obnoxious Bruins.
It's weird to me that as much of a dumpster fire as Arizona is, I'm pretty sure they announced that pick the night of that selection.
I want to say it was the night of, or like literally the next morning. So
under 24 hours, they got the information and they said, okay, we don't want this player. We don't want this. Yeah. We don't want this. And yet the Bruins, who are all in all considered to be like original six, pro-run, professional organization,
probably cup contenders this year,
go and make this signing. And it's like, you just pissed off your entire locker room. You didn't think about this for the Yotes to make this decision to not do this. And then you guys are supposed to be like, teams cite the Bruins as like a good run group, and then they do this. And it's like, where is any sense of integrity? And like, then once again, as you said, Sweeney made the comment like, "Oh, this happened to my kid." Well, dude, like you said, it happened to someone else's.
It happened to someone else's kid, Don.
And you have the fucking audacity to sign this man.
Yeah.
Like, he's not a man. He's a fucking. You signed this piece horrible. Of shit. Like, yeah.
So let's see if I can find.
I would love if Boston lost every other game this season. I know they won't obviously just lose. They won't lose every game, but like if they went winless, I would be very happy.
See, here's the thing. I think you have to look at it two ways. The players of the Bruins
props to the players
unanimously
for being
vocal. So against what they did. And for that, I cannot wish the Bruins as bad of fate. However,
their management team,
Don Sweeney and fucking Cam Neely,
they need to be fired. Like that,
they should probably go.
That is fireable.
That is wow. Arizona was smart to rescind the pick, but you signed the guy. Arizona didn't even get to pen and paper with the kid. But the Bruins had him sign a contract.
Once again, they also had him sign a contract before they did all of their research and did diligence.
And what baffles me is, Don Sweeney talking about two things. Number one was he was the man to say, I may have been the one to pick up Mitchell Miller at the airport, and I'm going to be the one that drops him off if we have to. Well, Don, I hope you fucking did.
I hope he did.
Or force him to fucking take an Uber. Fuck him.
Fuck, make him walk.
Yeah, he would have played in Providence, but who the fuck cares? He would have been playing in the league at some point, maybe. Actually, he could because he's still ineligible because he deserves to be.
Yeah.
But the fact that when they released him, Don Sweeney made a statement claiming that they released him based on new information they found. Don, what if any of this is new?
Yeah, like nothing has changed.
This is shit everyone knew for 2 years.
Yeah, nothing has changed in the past 2 years. And once again, it's
nothing's changed because
Well, here's the thing: 31 other teams haven't talked to, signed, dealt with this kid. Yep. No one's even thought about it. And then here you are, and you say, you know what, we need this dude.
Okay. Do you know what their reasoning was?
I actually didn't read that part.
So this is something that, and this is the only time I will give the main credit, but I will give Ryan Whitney credit where he is due. And he made a very good point on the Chicklets podcast for it. The reason they picked him up is because they suck at drafting.
Yeah, they're terrible at it.
They're fucking terrible at drafting. So they don't have a good offensive defenseman waiting in the prospect pool because their pool sucks. It's a fucking kiddie pool of absolutely. Shit and piss and shit and tears.
Well, and weirdly, all the players they trade who they do draft end up doing better in other places because they get developed. But I honestly think they're big. I don't think it's the drafting. This is the development portion. I think they also do suck at drafting, but I
don't know. You tell me a year where you get Jakob Zaboral and whoever the fuck else they got in that 2015 draft, 3 picks in a row, and yet they still left off Thomas Chabot, Matthew Barzal, Kyle Connor.
They suck at drafting, but they're also really bad at developing the pieces they get.
Right. So let me get this straight. Your thought process was, hey, we don't draft well. So there's this kid. He's an offensive-minded defenseman. That's an understatement, isn't it? We're going to pick him up, sign him to an ELC. We're going to develop him, and then he'll play in the league. And then they signed him. And then they went, oh, fuck. Wait, what? You're telling us this kid's not eligible to even play in the NHL? No, dumbass. Everyone knew that.
Well, and on top of that, it's like, did you not focus group it in-house?
Yeah.
Like,
did you not think to talk to
around a little bit and was like, hey, we're thinking about signing this kid. What?
Yeah.
When Bill from accounting spits out his coffee, you should not sign the dude.
And poor Bill from accounting just wanted to enjoy his day. And now you ruined Bill's day because he just spit his coffee out. Why would you do that to Bill?
It's not good.
No. Don Sweeney and Cam Neely need to be let go of because holy man, there's no way you come back from that.
The thing is, I don't think they're
not going to
get fired. It's Boston. They're not going to fire them.
Yeah. Unfortunately, but no.
And as you and I both know in that city, if you win games, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Which is unfortunate.
Yeah. It really is. But I think at the end of the day, hockey is taking a step back again. And I really genuinely hope
it's starting to become an every season statement that we make.
Yeah. When we 2020, when the Black Lives Matter stuff was happening and all that. 2021 with
the Blackhawks.
Oh God.
And now this.
And this year, and here's the thing, this isn't the first fucked up thing that happened this year in regards to diversity in the NHL.
No, absolutely.
Because if you remember, not 5 months ago, 4 months ago, I guess, 5 months ago, during the Stanley Cup playoffs, Jordan Bennington threw a water bottle at Nazem Kadri.
Yep.
And the next thing you know, Nazem Kadri is getting death threats.
Yep.
I have a little story. that I'm going to tell because I haven't been able to tell this one here because I haven't talked to Tyler much
It's
on
been a
Zoom
while.
since it's been
I
a
think
while.
it's been the playoffs.
Yeah, I think so. Because we've just been busy. But so over the summer, this is about diversity, and this is just a little personal story, but I want to bring this up. Even though we're about an hour and a half in, so we're fine. We normally go this long anyway. Just give me a second. I need water.
This has become water.
Yes, it has. So Colorado wins the Stanley Cup, right? And by that, Nazem Kadri is the Stanley Cup champion.
Absolutely.
Right? And I knew he would come home with the cup. Thing is, Nas is from 2.5 hours from where I'm from. He's from London, but I was hoping he might show up in Toronto. That'd be an only 20-minute drive for me to go down and go see him, go see the Stanley Cup. I find out sometime through the summer that he will be coming to London, and he's bringing the Stanley Cup to the mosque that he grew up going to.
Yep.
I
remember you sent me pictures of this.
Yeah. It was a really fun day. And I told my dad, I'm like, hey, my dad's favorite player is Nas. And my dad's a very spiritual person. So I told him, hey, the cup is going to be at a mosque in London. We should go. It'd be a little day trip. You, me, and mom can go just hang out there and take photos and, go see the cup. Oh, sure. So we planned accordingly, figured things out, and took 2.5 hours. Some of that drove 3 hours to London, got some food. And as we get to the mosque, there weren't a lot of people there yet, but you could see it starting to crowd up and crowd up. After half an hour of waiting, it was packed up. The cops had the roads blocked off, obviously, because for those of you that don't know, there was actually an attack on a Muslim family in London, Ontario earlier this year that I believe took 2 lives. And so they're very careful about that now. But of course, being in front of a mosque, they want to be extra careful. And of course, the Stanley Cup is there, right? You want to be very careful about these things. So, cops are barricading the streets, just closing off streets and whatnot. And ceremony begins, and the imam or our version of pastor is speaking about Nas. The mayor of London is talking about Nas. A local preacher, former lawyer, speaking about Nazem. And Nas obviously gets a little bit of time to speak. But the one thing I noticed, and I didn't bring it up with my dad until we were driving home, but I didn't think we needed to. Obviously, the demographic of people that were there were, mainly people that look like me, people of Arab American or Indian American descent, that support Nas because he is one of us, and he just did something that most of us that grew up in Canada would fucking love to do one day: is hoist the cup.
He was the first Muslim
player. He is the first Muslim player with the cup, which that I'm not super religious, but I've become more spiritual after that day because of Nazem Kadri. And I was talking to a reporter from TSN. Her and I were chatting for a little bit about diversity and inclusion in the NHL. And I said, here's the thing. Quentin Byfield is the highest drafted African-American player in NHL history at 2nd overall. Yep. Nail Yakupov is the highest drafted Muslim player in history at 1st overall. However, Nail Yakupov is a Russian Muslim. So he's not a brown, your typical Muslim. Yep. But Nas is. Yep. Right? And I was talking to her for a while about how, I really hope that was just the start of something beautiful that can grow in the NHL as far as diversity goes, because you're seeing more African American players. You've got the Souban brothers, you've got Wayne Simmons, you've got the great late Ray Emery, you've got Devontae Smith-Pelly, Keandre Miller, on the young end. Ryan Reeves, of course, Matt Dumba, even though he's Filipino. But it was, I think, half, whatever. Anyway, but at the first part of the ceremony, when it was just for the mosque for people to go around, something the imam mentioned was, something he was told about Nas. Just, Muslims get hate comments for whatever all the time. And, people would tell Nas Arabs belong on the sand and not on the ice. Well, I don't know how to fucking tell you this, man, because you're just like fucking Mitchell Miller, apparently. But I don't know how to explain this to you. But that Arab you said that should stay on the sand
He's got
just won a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And it's not like Nas was a guy who, he was on the team and won the Stanley Cup.
A fucking force, man.
He was a fucking force to be reckoned with last season, man. He was a big part of why they won that cup.
He really was. He was probably the most important player on that team.
Not named Cale Makar. Yeah.
At times, he probably might have been, dude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Dude, he doesn't score that overtime game winner. Oh, my God. That series goes differently.
No, absolutely.
In game 4.
No, for sure.
So, first ceremony ends. Then the parade starts. Nas is going to the Park Square. We go over there. We're watching the rest of the ceremony. The London Knights were there, so I got to meet some of the London Knights, which was fun. So they're talking. Elliot Friedman was there, so that was fun. I got to see Elliot. Just a little chat here and there, and the little celebration. I was going to raise the cup again. And again, I was talking to some other people, being like, "Yeah, you know what? This is a big day for, the NHL, because this is a brown man who happens to be very good at hockey, who is lifting the Stanley Cup in front of his people, right? And he is inspiring an entire generation of kids that look just like him, look like me,
absolutely,
to one day, chase your dreams, play, and if you like hockey, if you love the sport, and if you play, if you keep working at it, it'll be good." Kadri wasn't a generational talent; he was just a guy. Very good at what he did, but he wasn't, McDavid.
Absolutely.
So we leave London. We're driving back to the suburbs, like 3 hours out where we live. And my dad and I were just talking for a little bit on the car ride home. Just like how nice it was, to see how they treat him. Because they really do love him in his hometown. They love him in London. And here's the thing about London, if you don't know, it's predominantly white. Shocker. The weird town in Western Ontario, predominantly white. Or southwestern Ontario. Yeah. In southwestern Ontario. My dad sort of had this look in his eye of like, he was kind of surprised. And I'm like, "What's up? You something on your mind?" And he goes, "I get where we were was a celebration for Nas." And I was like, "Right, what's got you confused?" He goes, "For a crowd that was 95% white folk, they love him." And I'm like, "Yeah, because he's their boy. Doesn't matter what he looks like on the outside. He's their boy. He has supported the city of London, Ontario, his whole life, and London has supported him. And it's guys like Nas that are further pushing the boundaries of predominantly white players in the NHL."
Oh, absolutely.
The only other South Asian, Middle Eastern descent player before Arbor Jacki was Jujhar Khaira, a fourth liner on the Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah.
Who the fuck cares about Jujhar Khaira?
Yeah.
No one. But Nazem Kadri proved
second line center of the Colorado Avalanche Stanley Cup.
Second line center of the reigning Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche, an 89-point season last year.
Yeah.
broke his fucking wrist or his thumb, came back in 4 games and won and got the game winner in game 4 of overtime on his first night back. Nas is blessed, and we are blessed to have Nazem Kadri in the NHL.
Absolutely. And
but
right now, there's some kid who grew up idolizing Nas Kadri.
Yeah.
Who will be a Stanley Cup winner one day. Could be the next Matthews. Could be the next McDavid. Could be better.
We don't know. Maybe one day. But it's the fact that the NHL, for every couple of years where they're like, we're inclusive, when you let teams get away with shit like signing Mitchell Miller after everything he did, where that faith is gone.
Yep.
That faith's gone. The fact that a team was able to do this, knowing the history of this kid, without consulting their players, staff, the commissioner of the league.
The fact that it got to paper.
And the fact that it got to
in
paper.
hand, picking the dude up from the airport, like none of that should have happened.
No.
It should have come up that, hey,
but it does show.
It should have been no. And that's where it should have stopped.
But it does show that the league is moving backwards, and that I feel like the unfortunate reality with the NHL is that that's how it's going to go. And it's not because they want the league to move backwards, but the NHL historically, the last 10, 15 years, as we know as hockey fans, they're kind of an ignorant league. They're kind of dumb.
Oh, absolutely. And
they're not good at a lot of things.
You have a lot of people who keep it as a old boys club, and that's not going to get you anywhere.
In basketball, Myers Leonard got suspended for saying a slur that he didn't even know was a slur. He was just playing Warzone and got angry. And they were like, oh my God, he's an anti-Semite. Have you never played Warzone or Call of Duty?
I was in Modern Warfare 2 lobbies in the original Modern Warfare 2.
Oh, no, so was I. I know. We both know.
Yeah.
You say shit you don't want to say it, but you say it. Sometimes you don't know what it means. Myers didn't know what that word meant. He said it. He was angry. Didn't mean to offend anybody. He just said it. And the next thing you know, his entire career shot. Because even though he apologized and said, look, sorry for what I said, I'm not going to call myself ignorant because I found out later what that word meant. And I am deeply sorry for what I said. And they have yet to reinstate him back in the league. Actually, I don't even know. But yeah, he's not playing professional basketball right now because he's injured. And I don't think he's suspension stuff. I really hope that this is the last we hear of Mitchell Miller's name.
I would hope, and it should be.
I would hope. Because if in another, I don't know, year or two, I have to hear his name pop up again with another team, why?
I hope it's something that as a sport, we can move past it. And not this situation particularly. This situation's very
right, but just the
important one to look
overall.
At. But like, as a sport, we need to all do a better job as fans, as management teams, as players, whether it be college, whether it be mites, whether it be the NHL, across the board as hockey. Everyone needs to do better.
Yeah. There's been an issue with diversity in the league, and we know that because it's a league of predominantly white guys.
Yep.
And don't give me the shit of, oh, well, they're European. Still white.
Yep.
Right? The Russians are still white. The Swedes, the Finns, the Czechs, also white. Don't give me that shit. So now you have this kid coming in, or you almost had this kid.
He put pen to paper.
guy. He did put pen to paper.
He didn't play a game, but he did put
For
pen.
the A. Yeah.
Yeah.
You almost had this guy step foot onto an AHL rink to play professional hockey.
The other thing is, it's the Bruins made this signing when the commissioner wasn't in the country.
Yeah, you thought it was a good idea to do this while Gary was out doing the.
Oh no, I think they wanted to do it when he wasn't.
I think so because he was going to be too distracted with the international series.
Yep.
Yeah. Moral of the story, plain and simple. Shit needs to be done, and if you know it's bad, cut it as fast as you can. Because if you don't, only come back to haunt you. And the Bruins took too long on a mistake they never should have made in the first place. You know, it's going to haunt them for a while. Let it be that way.
No, absolutely.
If that means they lose the next 8 games, sure, that's fine. Nothing against the players.
No,
it's
absolutely.
just the mistakes that their management made that are going to haunt them like spooky ghosts.
They need to be fired. And honestly, it pisses me off because I know they're not going to.
Yeah. Well, my brain's fried.
Yeah, I'm thoroughly.
I think it's a good time to call it. We'll be back with the podcast one of these days when we figure out a proper recording schedule because we're both very busy people. But I figured with the news that broke, we should probably get something done. So, on that note, this has been Up Boards. You know where to find us. We're on YouTube. Go check us out. I'm Yusuf.
I'm Tyler.
And good night. Please don't care for each other. That's all that matters.